Uh, the novelist on which we are going to give our focus is Theodore Dreiser. Uh, I will ask you to note the name of the novelist. Please note, participant, please note the name of the novelist. Theodore, Theodore, Theodore Dreiser, Dreiser, Theodore Dreiser, Theodore, Theodore Dreiser, Theodore Dreiser. Sisters Carey. The name of the novel is Sister Carey, and the name of the novelist is Theodore Dreiser. Uh, did you actually uh, take down the name of the novelist, participants? Hello.
Yes, sir.
What we are going to discuss about? Please tell me what we are going to discuss about.
Sister Carrie.
Sister Carey. And who is the novelist?
Theodore
Theodore Dreiser.
Brazier.
Dreiser. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, broadly, uh, the work of Theodore Dreiser can be discussed in two different angles from two different dimensions. Okay, from two different dimensions. You are expected to get questions from two different dimensions. You can note it. Theodore as a successful novelist, particularly in relation to his work, Sister Carey. Discuss. You may get a question like this. Second part of this, actually, second part which we will also have discussion, is give an account of the novel. Give an account of the novel Sister Carey. Give an account of the novel Sister Carey. So these are two probable questions which you are supposed to get from this actually section. Okay. Well, actually, I gave you two questions. Question number one, did you write? Okay, would you please tell me the question? What I actually gave? I gave two questions. Uh, Question number one, what did you write? Question number one, did you write question number one? Hello, participants. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
So you may get two questions from Theodore Dreiser. The first question which you are expected to get is Theodore Dreiser as a successful novelist, as a man and writer, discuss. And second part of the question, second part is give an account of the novel Sister Carey. Give an account of the novel Sister Carey. These are two probable questions which you are supposed to get from this section. Okay. So where Theodore Dreiser is an immigrant. Immigrant. Do you understand the meaning of the word immigrant?
Yes, sir. Who relocate his position to one position to another for rehabilitation.
Immigrant, yes. So originally Theodore belonged to German and he migrated from German to America. Okay. And he is basically an immigrant. So actually Dreiser's uh, the emphasis in this novel emphasis is given on the making of Dreiser's art and vision of life. actually his complex relationship with his parents, his complex relationship with his brothers, uh, so, seems to have left a mark on his vision of life. So he, as an immigrant, uh, he struggled hard in America, and he belonged to a very poor family. Theodore belonged to a very poor family, and but uh, in this novel, his intellectual interest were determined by the society, by the culture, by the environment in which Theodore was brought up, in which Theodore was brought up, Theodore was nurtured. So, uh, the nature of his reception in America uh, is of great relevance later, no doubt. And initially, nobody knew that Theodore was a potential novelist, but later part, his actually reception in America was widely praised as he traces the impact of his ideas. uh, Sister Carrie came to be appreciated. Sister Carrie is one of the successful novels of Theodore, and Sister Carrie came to be appreciated and understood by by the large section of Americans, and it also provided opportunity for Theodore for a wide debate, for a wide discussion, for a wide debate. It was a successful novel. So we will therefore review his career as a novelist. We will discuss his career as a successful novelist, and also comment on his uh, social legacy, social setup. The story of writing of Sisters Carey will naturally prepare us for a close, actually, for a close discussion, for a close reading. Participants, as you all know, Theodore was born in Sullivan. He was born in Sullivan, Sullivan, Sullivan. He was born in Sullivan. And he was the uh, ninth of the 10 children. He was the ninth of the 10 children. So who Theodore was the ninth of the 10 children. So see, he was born in a large family. He was a large family. He was born in a large family, and uh, actually he belonged. Theodore actually was born in Sullivan. He is the ninth of the 10 children, and his father, as we discussed, was a German immigrant. He the family had come from German and settled in America, and initially they worked as a weaver, weaver. Initially they worked as a weaver, and uh, John Drager was the name of his father. John Drager was the name of his father. The as we know, uh, the Drager family had a very poor background. They were not that much rich. They were not that much well up. They raised their money by working. They raised their money. They actually met the expenditure of the family by working as production manager. His father, Theodore's father, worked as a production manager in a mill, in a mill, uh, in America, in a woolen mill in America. And however, the family passed through many struggles and tragedy struck the family when the mill was destroyed in a fire. Ironically, the uh, mill in which his father was working, it was set fire, and ultimately the mill was stopped. So the source of income which the family received to manage the family also stopped. So the financial condition of Theodore family was very precarious, precarious, was very unhealthy, and uh, John Treasure found himself drifting from one job to another. So what will he do now? The place where he was working is now closed. There is no way out. So he shifted from one place to another place, so searching for a job. Searching, he had a very large family. He had to manage the family at any cost. So what will he do? He wanted to actually look for a job and moved from one place to another place to search for a job. And they had to constantly move houses, each time to a smaller one. So, and they could not afford. So, what is they were they did not have a house of their own. The Theodore family, they were immigrant. They did not have a house of their own. They did not have a house of their own. So they were staying on the basis of rent, on the basis of rent, and they were not able to pay the rent to the owner. So they had to face humiliation, and that is why they were shifting from one house to another house. So financially, the family was not sound. They were not able to pay money to the owner. So they were shifting from one house to another house. So this was their condition. Background. This is the background of Theodore's family. And they had to constantly move from one house to another house. And each time a smaller one. So they were somehow managing with much difficulty, with much hardship. They were managing with a small house. It was a large family with 12 members. Hmm. And it was difficult on their part to take a big house because they did not have money. So they somehow managed with a very small house, and actually faced a lot of hardship. Drager, as a young boy, even had to see, even he went to the extent of stealing coal, stealing, stealing, stealing coal uh, from railway yards, uh, and managed to get money out of it. He even see he came to the level of stealing even coal from railway yards to manage the family, and the family had split up as they found it was impossible to survive as one large group. So ultimately, what happened? So it was not possible to remain together. The family, it was not possible. So it is because the family was large in size. It was not difficult to manage in a small house. So ultimately, what happened? So the family split. These family members were divided. The family members were divided, and Theodore accompanied his mother to and then uh, uh, Vicinage, and then to Sullivan. So uh, the family members were divided, remained in different groups, uh, and somehow managed their life. By the time Theodore was born, his father had already been reduced to uh, an embittered man, an unsuccessful man. He was a rolling stone that gathers no moss. He was not able to earn money to meet the expenditure of the family. He was also not actually sticking to a particular place for in which you are actually doing a piece of work, in which you are doing some job, and he was unsuccessful. It was very difficult on the part of John Drager to continue continue the job for a long time. He was a conservative Roman Catholic. There is religion. There was also rigidity, caste rigidity. Rigidity. He belonged to Roman Catholic, and he did not compromise with his religion. Who? His father did not compromise with his religion. So he therefore his children defied him as they found him despotic and ruthless. Sometimes he was very cruel. Sometimes he was very ruthless. He was despotic. He was behaving ill with his children. And Theodore had described his father as a morose and door figure. So naturally, it will happen when the father becomes unfit, when the father becomes unsuccessful to manage the family. Obviously, when the children will grow, they will have hatredness towards their father, and this happened in case of this family, Theodore family, and therefore they had a very hard time. They had a very difficult time. This is the family background of Theodore. So far, the education of Theodore Drager is concerned. His Theodore's education was in the beginning very erratic, very unsystematic, very unplanned way. His education was not on the basis of proper planning. Drager's education was very erratic. It was not based on proper planning. And uh, why? Why it was not based on proper planning? Because the family moved from one town to another, moved from one place to other. They were not staying in a particular place constantly for a long period. So naturally, it will affect their education. And it happened in case of uh, Theodore Drager. He faced a lot of problem to receive education, proper education. Uh, uh, because the family moved from one place to other, he was not able to receive proper education, and he strongly resented the suffocating atmosphere. uh, he did not like it, but he was helpless. Theodore did not like it, but he was helpless, because where the family moves, he will have to go with them. And as we know, the family moved from one place to another, one town to other, and obviously the education of Theodore would be very would not be healthy. We cannot expect that Theodore would get proper education with this trend, with this with this actually trend. Theodore attended Indiana University for a year, thanks to the generosity of a teacher. A teacher, he was a teacher came to the help of Theodore, and he wanted to help Theodore, and who had recognized his because he had recognized his talent. Yes, probably he was actually the teacher liked Theodore. He recognized his talent, and he wanted to help Theodore. And therefore, Theodore attended Indiana University uh, uh, with the help of a teacher who wanted that proper education need to be provided to Theodore, because Theodore had talents which the teacher recognized, which the teacher knew well. In high school level, he was self-taught. He was self-taught. and from life and also from his readings. He was self-taught. So he had no money to go for actually to go for extra education. So he had to he was self-taught. He read by himself. He studied by himself, and from life and from his readings, his performer, the and therefore Theodore left for Chicago with the $6 his mother gave him for her hard earning savings. So because Theodore, when the family divided, Theodore remained with his mother. His mother was doing some pieces of work in a private actually house, probably in a private house, and which she earned. She wanted to give some money to her son for education. For education, he had earned some money, and $6 his mother actually gave him for her education out of her hard-earned savings. Hard-earned saving. She had saved some money for the education of her child, which she wanted that it should be utilized properly for the education of Theodore. So, as there were there he found employment as a dishwasher in a restaurant. So Theodore gave there. So see, so at this time he simultaneously he also wanted some job, Theodore, because how can they manage the family? How can they live without money, without earning? So what did Theodore do? He when he was reading in high school stage, he wanted some job, and he worked as a salesman. He worked as a salesman. He worked as a dishwasher in a restaurant. See how actually poor the background is. The background of Theodore is very poor. So he had talent, he had potentiality, he was very intelligent, but money was the main hurdle for his education. So that is the reason for which Theodore wanted small jobs. He became a dishwasher, he became a salesman, and with his with this earning, he somehow managed to continue his education. Theodore somehow managed to. So, as we initially, as I told, Theodore as a man and as a writer, as a man, he had a lot of hardship in his way of life, in the passage of his life. He had a lot of hardship, and he, with much difficulty, he managed to survive. With much hardship, he managed to survive, and he even did not feel reluctant, did not feel did not feel awed to work as a salesman, to work as a dishwasher in a hotel, in a restaurant, in a private house. Uh, this was the life condition of Theodore as a man. And uh, to the much of his disappointment, to the much of his disappointment, his mother actually died in the year 1891, and now Theodore is alone. So the main support, the main actually source of encouragement which he received from his mother also died at last in the year 1891, and he became a lonely man. He became a lonely man. He became disappointed. He became helpless without his mother. So Uh, Now, what will Theodore do? He had high aspirations, he had high aims, he had something to achieve in his life, but uh, the stark reality he is not able to face, the stark reality of life. He becomes disappointed, he becomes helpless, and uh, uh, what happened? He decided to uh, move from Sullivan to another city. Sullivan to another city, and drifting the city from Sullivan he had gone to Chicago, and from Chicago he wanted to shift to other place. So and he was also ready to accept small jobs. He was also ready to accept low paid, LOW, low PID, low paid job. So whatever amount somebody offers, he was ready to accept it. And he was also ready to give his service. He was ready to carry out the job with small money because this was his condition. So he lived in poverty. He lived in penury, and therefore he became very much lonely and wanted to move from one city to another, doing low paid jobs of various kind, of different types, of different nature. So, but in the year in the year 1891, his mother died, and uh, what will he do? He searched for small jobs with low money, and with this he somehow managed. And in the year 1892, in the year 1892, uh, Theodore joined uh, Daily Globe, one of the lowest ranking newspaper in Chicago, as a reporter. And actually, this is a turning point in the life of Theodore. This was the turning point in the life of Theodore. Ah, this was the turning point in the life of Theodore. He joined as a reporter. Theodore joined as a reporter, and he worked in a newspaper, and the name of the newspaper was Daily Globe, which was published in Chicago as a reporter. And for the next decade, he would remain as a reporter and an editor. And gradually, probably actually he was searching for better opportunity. He was searching for better actually scope, and whatever uh, may be the aspirations of Theodore, whatever may be the aim of Theodore, uh, he continued there as a reporter for a long time, and he remained as a reporter, and later on he became an editor of that newspaper. He continued his work as a reporter, and later when he gained confidence of the editor, he became editor of that newspaper, moving from one publication to another. And from he moved to, so gradually he as he got reputation as a good reporter, as he got reputation as a good reporter, uh, Theodore actually got a lot of invitations, a lot of actually offers from so many newspapers to work as editor. And he shifted from one newspaper to another newspaper, working there as a successful editor. And from where he set out to eastern destination being New York. So ultimately he wanted to move from Chicago to New York. Those series of short-lived jobs in cities like uh, 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 and on the way in New York, he was employed as Pulitzer's wards on a temporary basis. And he made up his mind. Theodore made up his mind to establish in New York, and he want he wanted to take the leadership of a prominent newspaper, a pioneer newspaper in New York, known as Pulitzer's World, and he worked there on a temporary basis. He agreed to work there on a temporary basis as the editor. And his brother Paul, who had also made a name for himself in the field of musical comedy, helped him. His brother was interested for music, and he had also earned a very good name as a good musician there in New York. And his brother was also ready to help him for education. So keep it in mind, participants, that Theodore is continuing his education. At the same time, he is also doing low paid jobs to meet his expenditure for education, and he was not reluctant to shift from one place to other place, accepting the small jobs with low paid money, because he wanted that he would become a successful man in the society. He wanted that he would become a good actually writer. This was in his mind. Which he wanted to reflect in real life, and that is why he struggled hard, accepting low jobs, accepting low paid money, shifting from one place to other. Drager separated permanently. So his brother was also ready. Realizing his talents, his brother was also ready, and out of his limited income, his brother was also ready to give some money to Theodore for his education. And uh, when Drager uh, gradually, at the same time, Theodore was in the habit of writing small novels. He was in the habit of writing when he was continued when he continued as editor, when he continued as reporter in certain news papers. He also continued his habit of writing, and he published it in different newspapers. He was in the habit of writing small articles, small stories, small novels, and published it. And gradually, his actually small writings, his novels were widely circulated, and people of America accepted it, or realized the real talents of Theodore. And he began writing Sister Carrie without any clear idea of what he was going to write about. In the year, actually, he spent uh, so many years as an editor, and he began writing fiction seriously. He began writing short stories seriously. He began writing novels seriously, and he also decided that he would write a masterpiece. And he began writing Sister Carrie without any clear concept in his mind. He did not know what would be the sketch of the novel, what would be the layout of the novel, what would be the characters of the novel. He did not actually mind, but he made up his mind to write. And when Rager submitted his first novel to Doubleday, Page and Co., it was strongly recommended for publication. So when see how actually Locke has supported him, and he became he. There was a rise in his writing career. There was a tremendous rise in his writing career. And for the first time, when a novel was published by a company known as Doubleday and Page and Co., it was strongly recommended. It was strongly appreciated, and it was strongly appreciated, and the publication was a tremendous one, which created which became a news in America on the talents of Theodore. However, the publisher developed cold feet when he had her distaste for it. After reading the manuscript, finally he brought it out, fearing a lawsuit. So uh, there were also many controversies in his writing, and many also writers also raised these points of controversies in his writing. But he did not care for it. Theodore did not care for it. He did not care for the controversies. He went on writing as he had made up his mind, and therefore, uh, after mm, apart from novels, Rogers also wrote stories, plays, poetry, uh, anthropological works. He also wrote on anthropological works and travelogues, several occasional and non-fictional pieces of periodicals. And this trend, with this trend, he gradually his reputation grew, and his reputation as a writer, as a successful novelist, was on the rise. Of these 8 novels he wrote from the basis of his reputation. 8 novels as an American writer, not a matter of joke, not a small thing. A boy like Theodore, who had struggled hard to survive, the family in which he belonged, each passing through poverty, passing through difficult financial hardship. Ah, the family which actually lived like a what like like the family which which actually which was difficult. It was difficult on the part of his father to manage the family because the family was large in size, and therefore the family members were divided. In spite of it, he gathered courage, he gathered conviction, he gathered strength, and he became very bold in his determination. He became very bold in his determination and went on writing, and till success knocks at his door. And that is why uh, these novels capture something essential about American life in the opening decades of each century. So in America, although he was an immigrant, he now became a successful writer, uh, receiving wider recognition, wider actually acknowledgement from cross sections of writers. And these novels capture something essential about American life. He wrote 8 novels, not a matter of jokes, some 8 novels. And uh, he actually, Theodore, Sister Carrie, and the American tragedy have attained the status of classics in American fiction. It must be underlined. It's very important. Sister Carrie, which he wanted that this actually work of Theodore would be a masterpiece. In fact, it became a masterpiece. Sister Carrie and the American tragedy, and an American tragedy, both novels have attained the status of classics in American fiction. And the reviews, which the big, which the novelist of high reputation, uh, the reviews which the novelist of high reputation, uh, uh, they appreciated, they liked the work of, they liked the work of they liked the work of Theodore, and the dis- and Sister Carrie was recognized as a masterpiece by the other novelist, even by his own critic, and uh, therefore, uh, it was with the publication of an American tragedy that Dreiser became the household name in America. Very essentially. So, people who uh, uh, actually people uh, eh, people were ready to accept Theodore as a popular novelist, as as a successful novelist, and his name became very popular. He became a household name in America. He was so popular as a novelist. Theodore was so popular as a novelist uh, that it became a household name in America. It became a household name in America. When he wrote his first novel, Sister Carrie, he was unsure of its reception. He was not sure that this novel would, in fact, give him so much recognition, so much actually acknowledgement. He was not sure about it. And when he wrote his first novel, the Sister Carrie, he was unsure. He was not sure of its success. He was not sure of its reception. But when it was mm, widely recognized, when it was widely appreciated, uh, the I mean the achievement which he wanted to uh, get, he truly got that achievement, Theodore. However, on reading the proof, Mr. Who was a social worker, double day was a social worker. He found the MOOC. He found he so for it is natural that when reviews actually came in later part, when the reviews came later part, many also many writers, they criticized that book. They named it as immoral. They named it unworthy of publication. Some writers, there was a social worker who actually criticized that book, and he found the book immoral. He found the book unworthy of publication. But it did not have any impact. It did not have any actually impact on publication. He had already become a household name in America, and the great novel Sister Carrie had also received wider publication, wider recognition by his co-writers, by the established writers, by the readers in America. And here, uh, since uh, actually Sister Carrie writing the coming, it would be very instructive to know. It would be very essential to know about the conception and execution of the novel. So, when he started writing Sister Carrie, he did not have a clear cut sketch of the novel. He did not have a clear cut layout of the novel. He did not know the real shape of the novel. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Hello? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. When
Yes,
we
sir.
were, Dreiser came from an immigrant working class background and had very little formal education. Ah, his formidable talent as a narrator, as a writer, was in question. Resources were limited. Uh, Opportunities were very short, and his experience, he it was difficult for him to go ahead. And what makes Sister Carrie compelling narrative in his defiance of prevailing? So, but Sister Carrie, uh, he was also he also who Theodore also did not think that this novel would be a masterpiece and this novel would be would receive so much success. And some of the uh, central episodes, some of the central chapters in Sister Carrie uh, were taken from his personal life. Very important. So, Sister Carrie, his uh, personal life, a family life, personal life, stories of events of incidents of his personal life, his family life are reflected in the novel Sister Carrie. One of uh, uh, Dreier's sister had been supported in Chicago by an architect and had been attracted by the manager of a well-known eating and drinking establishment. And by the time she discovered that he was married, their affair had progressed to a level where he was ready to elope with her. So the family incidents, family actually happenings, some of the stories of his own family have also found place in his great novel Sister Carrie. Ah, so the he stole some money from his employers and then returned most of the money after being taken with the remorse. Therefore, uh, when gradually in this way, uh, Sister Carrie uh, 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 gra- the concluding chapters portray the gradual disintegration of the family, Sister Carrie, which is juxtaposed with the emergence of Carrie as an actress. Drager is unspassing in documenting the compulsive drift of the protagonist. Hersuit is the protagonist of the play toward the state of complete alienation from the world around. Uh, but still, he maintains that he is going to get work soon and life will change for better. So, there was an optimistic approach to the novel, in spite of very actually uncertain way of life. Theodore was very optimistic. Theodore was very hopeful, and Sister Carrie has only contempt for him, but still helps him with money. So, Sister Carrie is also positive character. Is a positive actually portrayal. Uh, Although Harshut was his integrity was in question, Sister Carrie never actually hated, never actually disliked. She wanted to help him, even when she knows that he has betrayed her. When the Hastert makes a very valiant effort to find work as a temporary motorman uh, during the worker strike, and therefore the life the real actually the real picture of Theodore's family, the real incidents of Theodore's family, the real sketches of Theodore's family have found place in his novel, the great novel Sister Carrie, and that is why now Sister Carrie is a realistic novel, with a positive actually outlook, in characters, and therefore it we may say that the tone of the note is very passing through unfriendly situation, passing through very uncertain situation. Carrie has finally left her husband, left her suit to his own fate when a lonely Hasud sits in the rocking chair, staring at the floor, and he tells himself, I tried and did not I? I tried, did not I? So I wanted to do everything, but became failure, but became an unsuccessful man. Uh, so Kerry gets her first major break when she is offered the role of a country made in a play. Kerry also goes wants to work in a play. When she is paid $30 a week, it looks an enormous sum. Still, Kerry knew that she counted for nothing in the huge metropolis. So that money was also not sufficient for Kerry because in a city like New York, uh, a small amount of money cannot be sufficient to pull on life. And she, Kerry, is not even aware. In the meantime, uh, her student has died, and surprisingly, being a wife of her student, Kerry is not even aware of the death of her student. Her life will also, with all its promise of fame and money, is haunted by a sense of loss and vacancy. She also becomes disappointed. She also becomes lonely and feels feels that there is a vacancy in his life. There is a gap in his life, and she truly finds that a sense of loss is haunting him all all along her life, and the sense of unreality that follows her now depends into a permanent state of anxiety. And at the end of the novel, we see her sitting in her rocking chair, looking through the window into the darkness outside, and uh, real feels that life is uncertain, life is unsure, life is full of anxiety, ah, and there is this is the stark reality which someone has to face in one's life. Okay, participants, this is how we conclude Theodore's work, Sisters Carry.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any question for me? Initially, I have given you two questions on this section, which you are likely to prepare accordingly. Huh? Okay. Two questions. You may prepare in the light of these two questions for your next examination. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir.